Welcome back to the deep dive. So today we're going to do something a little bit different. Usually, we're taking a stack of articles, a new nonfiction book, and we're breaking it down. Actionable bullets. We're pretty clinical.
We are.
But today we're going to step into a dimly lit room. I really want you to imagine it. It's Elmira, New York. It's the mid-1960s. You can almost smell it, right? Cigarette smoke hanging in the air of a living room.
Oh, yeah, that heavy air.
It's quiet, except for, the scratching of a pen on paper and a voice.
Yeah.
A voice that doesn't quite sound like the person it's coming from.
It's a very specific vibe. It's noir, but it's domestic. It's like The Twilight Zone meets Leave It to Beaver.
That is the perfect description. And we are going to be talking about a reality that sits right underneath the one you and I are looking at right now. We are diving into the Seth Material. Specifically, we're looking at session 208 from the early sessions, book 5.
And for anyone who might not know or, might be a little skeptical about the origins here, let's just set the stage a little.
Who did you?
This is material that was channeled by the author Jane Roberts. She would go into a trance state, sort of dissociate from her own consciousness, and then speak for an entity known as Seth.
Right.
And look, regardless of what you believe about the mechanism, is it psychological? Is it supernatural? Is it just a really, really active imagination? The content is pretty mind-bending.
Mind-bending is absolutely the right word. Because in this one session, which took place on Monday, November 15th, 1965, at 9 o'clock at night.
9 p.m., yeah.
Seth basically tells us that gravity isn't real.
Or at least not real in the way we think it is. It's not some law written in stone. It's more like a habit.
A habit, exactly.
Yeah.
And he tells us that time is an illusion we created for educational purposes.
Right.
That we have a secret to anti-aging that happens every single time we fall asleep. And then just when you think it's all this abstract philosophy, he drops this incredibly specific, spooky psychic prediction about a car crash, a red brick building, and a mysterious letter.
It really runs the gamut. It goes from this high-level metaphysics to, like you said, very grounded, almost chillingly specific clairvoyance.
It does.
It's a masterclass in what this Seth Material is all about. It's not just love and light. It's mechanics. It's physics.
It is a wild ride. And before we get started, we do need to say that this material comes directly from the early sessions, book 5 of the Seth Material, which is published by the New Awareness Network.
And a huge shout out to them for preserving these records. I mean, these early sessions are often where you find the rawest, most technical data.
That's a good point.
It's before all the big best-selling books. This is like the raw feed.
Absolutely. And just a quick disclaimer before we really jump in. This deep dive is distributed free of charge on all major platforms for educational purposes. We're here to explore the ideas, unpack the text, and see what we can learn.
Right.
We aren't asking you to believe it. We're asking you to consider it.
And there is so much to consider. The mission for today really is to understand Seth's distinction between what he calls primary reality and secondary reality. If you can grasp that one distinction, it honestly changes how you see everything.
Including your own wrinkles, apparently.
Especially those.
Okay, let's set the scene properly. It's November 15th, 1965. Jess Roberts, who Seth calls Rubert, is in the back room of her house. Her husband, Robert Bucks, who Seth calls Joseph, he's there taking notes.
Pen and paper.
Pen and paper. And the session starts. Now, what I love about the descriptions of these books is that it's not this holy, sanitized, glowing angel moment.
Not at all. Not at all. It's very blue collar in a way.
Yeah. The notes say Jane is sitting down. She's speaking really rapidly. Her eyes are wide open. And this is the best part. She is smoking throughout the session.
I love that detail. I mean, it's so counterintuitive to how we picture spiritual moments today,
Right. We picture yoga mats and green juice and silence, maybe some incense, a flute playing in the background.
Yeah.
We do not picture a chain-smoking woman in a 1960s living room just barking out secrets of the universe while ashing into a tray.
But that's the beauty of it. It grounds the whole experience. It reminds us this isn't happening on some mountaintop.
Right.
It's happening in a house where people pay bills and argue and have bad habits. It adds this layer of gritty reality to the high strangeness. It suggests the spiritual world isn't separate from our messy physical world.
It really does. And it's important to remember that Jane's physical state was often very different during these sessions. I mean, sometimes she was pacing, sometimes shouting. Here she's sitting, but the energy is high. Seth actually comments on it right away.
Oh, he does?
Yeah. He says, I am glad to see such a lively discussion immediately before a session, which shows you are on your toes.
Seth sounds like a professor who's happy his students actually did the reading before class.
He really does. He's very much a teacher figure.
Yeah.
He's not some guru who wants to be worshipped. He's a teacher who just wants you to pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
But immediately, he clears up a technical point from a previous session.
Mm-hmm.
And this might seem like a small detail, but it actually gives us a clue as to how this whole channeling thing works mechanically.
Right. This is the voice effect discussion.
Exactly. So apparently in a previous session, there was some confusion about a drastic change in Jane's voice and whether it was connected to an inner voice heard by another person, a guy named Philip.
Okay.
So Seth wants to set the record straight. He says that Jane helped produce the voice effect not consciously, but through, and I'm quoting here, electromagnetic alterations that occur within the trance state.
Electromagnetic alterations. That sounds incredibly sci-fi for 1965.
It does. And I want to pause there because that choice of words is so fascinating. He doesn't say spiritual vibrations or ectoplasm or divine intervention. He says electromagnetic.
Think about what that implies, though. Seth isn't saying magic. He isn't saying a ghost did it. He's using the language of physics.
Yeah.
He's suggesting that the human body and the voice box are instruments, biological machines that can be manipulated by energy, specifically by electromagnetism.
So when Jane's voice changes, when it gets deeper or louder or takes on that specific Seth cadence, it's not just acting. It's not just her trying to sound spooky. It's a literal shift in the electromagnetic field of her body.
That's the claim. Seth views the physical body as a tool. And like any tool, if you know how the energy works, if you know how to modulate the current, you can adjust the settings. He says, it was easier for me to make certain realignments and adjustments of a necessary nature.
That is just fascinating. It's like he's tuning a radio.
Precisely. If you think of Jane as the radio receiver, normally she's tuned to the station Jane Roberts. That station has a certain frequency, a certain sound.
Right.
But in a trance, Seth comes in, he tweaks the dials, adjusts the electromagnetic frequency, and boom, the audio output changes. The hardware is the same, it's Jane's vocal cords, but the signal is different.
It makes me wonder if our voices are just electromagnetic signals, what else is?
Well, Seth would say everything is, and this idea of electromagnetic reality is going to come up again and again in this session.
I bet.
It's the bridge between the thought world, the non-physical, and the hard world, the physical. It's not that there's a spirit world and a material world separated by some big wall. It's more like, I don't know, water and ice. Yeah. Same stuff, different density, different electromagnetic state.
Okay, so we have the mechanism established. Jane is the instrument, Seth is the operator, and electromagnetism is the signal.
Right.
Now let's get into the meat of it, the big concept, primary versus secondary reality.
Mm-hmm. This is the core of the session. I mean, if you get this, you get the whole philosophy. Seth gives us a kind of a yardstick to measure reality.
I love a good litmus test.
Yeah.
We live in a world of fake news and deep fakes.
Yeah.
How do we know if something is real or if it's just a prop?
Well, Seth's rule is actually very simple, but the implications are. They're huge. The rule is this. If you can escape a condition in a dream, it is secondary.
Okay.
If it exists in waking, sleeping, and trance states, if you can't escape it no matter what state of consciousness you're in, then it is primary.
Okay, let's unpack this slowly because
Okay.
this turns our whole worldview upside down. Let's start with something we all think is incredibly real, gravity.
Right. Gravity seems pretty non-negotiable. I mean, if I drop my pen, it hits the desk every time.
Every single time.
If I jump off a chair, I land on the floor. It feels like a law of the universe. It feels like the very definition of real.
But apply the Seth test.
Yeah.
When you are dreaming, do you have to obey gravity?
No, not at all.
I've had flying dreams. I've had dreams where I float downstairs. I've had dreams where I jump off a building and just bounce.
Exactly.
I've had dreams where I swim through the air.
Exactly. In the dream state, you can defy gravity. You can turn it off. You can toggle the setting. Therefore, according to Seth, gravity is a secondary reality.
Whoa.
It's local to the physical system. It's a rule of the house we are living in, but it's not a rule of view.
That is wild. So gravity is just a suggestion, a dress code for Earth.
In the broader context of consciousness, yeah, it's a prop on the stage. It keeps the furniture on the floor so the play can happen. But when the curtain goes down and you go to sleep, you don't need the prop anymore.
So validating for anyone who was clumsy.
It is.
I was going to say, it's not my fault I tripped. I was just momentarily rejecting a secondary reality.
Ah, right.
I was just attempting to transcend the local laws of physics.
You were just trying to assert your primary nature. You were remembering that your soul knows how to fly, even if your feet don't.
Exactly. We use that excuse next time I drop my phone. Sorry, I was just testing the secondary nature of gravity.
I was engaging in a metaphysical experiment.
And the phone failed. Okay, so gravity is secondary because we can cheat it in our sleep. Let's look at another one. What about time? Because Seth seems to have a real beef with clock time.
Oh, he really does. He calls clock time an electromagnetic reality that we have created on mental terms, but he is adamant that it is not basic, it is not primary.
Because in dreams, time just goes haywire.
Think about it. Have you ever had a dream that felt like an epic adventure? Like you lived through a whole week, you traveled across a continent, you met people, you fell in love, you aged, and then you wake up, check the clock.
And it's been 45 minutes.
Exactly, 45 minutes.
All the time. Or the opposite. You have a dream that feels like a split second, but you actually slept for 10 hours.
Right. Or you can jump from your childhood home to your current office in a blink. There is no linear sequence, there is no travel time. You escape clock time, therefore time is secondary.
Okay, this is starting to make sense. So the things that constrain us, gravity holding us down, time always running out, these are just the walls of the specific room we are standing in. They aren't the whole building.
Exactly. Seth says, those realities, which are primaries, are those which exist for you in all conditions of consciousness.
So what is primary then? If gravity isn't real and time isn't real, what's left? Because if you take away time and space, I feel like I just disappear.
You don't disappear. What's left is consciousness itself. Your sense of, I am. That feeling of existence. That feeling is there when you're awake. It's there when you're dreaming. It's there in a deep trance. You never stop existing. That is primary.
That's actually really comforting. The stuff that stresses us out, being late, getting old, falling down, that's all secondary. The part of us that just is, that's the real stuff.
It shifts the weight off your shoulders. You realize you are the player, not the character on the screen. The character has to worry about the game timer. The player doesn't.
And that leads us directly to the point that I think will catch everyone's attention. Because if time is secondary, if time is just part of the game mechanics, what does that mean for aging?
Ah, yes. The fountain of youth.
I circled this part of the notes like 5 times. Seth drops a bombshell here. He says, and I'm quoting, "The physical organism does not age in sleep at the same rate at which it ages in the waking state."
It's a logical extension of his whole argument about time. I mean, if aging is just the effect of time on the body, the wear and tear of linear progression, and time is a secondary reality that doesn't exist in the sleep state.
Then when you're asleep, you aren't aging.
Or at least not in the same way.
So hitting the snooze button is literally a fountain of youth.
In a way, yeah. When you exit the physical system, which you do every night when you sleep, you step out of the stream of time. You step out of that relentless ticking clock.
I feel like I need to call my boss and explain that me being late isn't laziness, it's a beauty regimen.
Right.
I'm preserving my youth. I'm engaging in cellular repair via interdimensional travel.
You're engaging in high-level metaphysical preservation. You are stepping into the timeless.
But seriously, think about the implication. We spend a third of our lives sleeping. If Seth is right, that means for a third of our existence, we are essentially paused. We're putting the car in neutral and just coasting.
We are off the clock in the most literal sense. But Seth takes us even further. It's not just about the mechanics of sleep, it's about belief. And this is where the episode gets a little chilling. This is the vengeful force concept.
Yeah, this phrase actually gave me goosebumps when I read it. It feels so violent. Vengeful force.
It's intense.
Yeah.
Seth gives us an example of 2 men to illustrate this. Let's call them Man A and Man B. They're exactly the same age, same physical condition, but their beliefs are totally different.
Okay, so Man A and Man B. Who's Man A?
Man A is the guy who gets it. He realizes that he is independent of the physical system. He knows time is secondary. He knows his consciousness is primary. He feels free. He doesn't look at the calendar and panic.
He's the guy who knows gravity is just a suggestion. He sleeps well, he just flows.
Exactly. But Man B is the opposite. Man B believes he's a prisoner. He believes clock time is absolute. He believes that every single tick of the clock is bringing him closer to the end.
Right.
He believes he must age because that is the rule. He's obsessed with the passage of time.
I feel like most of us are Man B. We are trained from birth to be Man B. We have reminders on our phones, calendars on our walls, deadlines in our heads.
We are. And what happens to Man B, Seth says? The action or actions involved in this belief will therefore act upon the physical cells of his body with vengeful force because he has himself directed them to do so.
Vengeful force. That is such a heavy phrase. It implies that the body is literally attacking itself.
It implies that by believing you are a victim of time, you are actually giving your own body the command to attack itself. You are giving your cells the instruction decay. You're basically commanding your biology to punish you.
It's a psychosomatic feedback loop from hell. We fear time, so we believe in its power. And because we believe in its power, our bodies obey that belief and break down faster, which just makes us fear time even more.
That's it. That is the trap. We are prisoners of these secondary conditions only because we believe they are primary. We give them the power. We hand the whip to the jailer.
This reminds me of all the stress research. You know, we know that high cortisol kills you. We know that stress ages you. We see presidents age 20 years in a 4-year term. Is Seth just describing stress?
He's describing the root of stress. I mean, why are we stressed? Usually because we feel we don't have enough time, or we fear the future. If you truly knew deep down that you were an eternal being and that time was just a game, you wouldn't be stressed.
No.
And your cells wouldn't be bathed in that vengeful chemistry.
So if we stop believing in them, if we really, truly internalize that time is just a game we're playing, what happens?
Theoretically, the vengeful force it stops. You stop attacking yourself. You might still age because you're still in the physical system, but you wouldn't be accelerating it with your own fear. You wouldn't be crushing your own cells with the weight of your anxiety.
That is heavy. It makes you want to really watch your thoughts.
Thoughts are definite electromagnetic realities, Seth says. They aren't just smoke, they are actions. Every time you think, ugh, I'm getting so old, you are sending an electromagnetic signal to your cells saying, get old.
And the cells say, yes, sir, and they do it.
Exactly. They're just following orders.
So we have this split. We have the part of us that deals with bills and gravity, the secondary stuff. And then we have the part of us that flies in dreams, the primary stuff. Seth calls this the difference between the outer ego and the inner ego.
Right. And I want to be careful here because ego has such a bad reputation these days. You know, everyone is trying to kill their ego.
Oh, for sure. Ego death is the big goal in a lot of spiritual circles.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to dissolve their ego into the infinite.
But Seth defends the ego. He says the outer ego is necessary. It has a job.
Because we needed to survive here, right? I can't pay my taxes with dream logic. I can't just walk into the bank and say, money's an illusion, so give me a loan.
Exactly. They would kick you out. Seth says the inner eye needs a self that is acclimated to physical conditions, hence the ego.
I like the idea of the ego being like a spacesuit.
That's a perfect analogy. If you go to the moon, you need a spacesuit. The suit allows you to breathe, to walk, to interact with the environment. It protects you from the vacuum, but you are not the suit.
And the problem is when the astronaut forgets he's wearing a suit and thinks he is the suit.
Precisely. The outer ego deals with props time, gravity, space, social rules. It's the interface. It's the user interface for planet Earth. The inner ego deals with the actor inside the suit. The goal isn't to destroy the suit, the ego. The goal is to realize you are the one wearing it.
We are multidimensional beings. We hear that a lot, but Seth makes it very technical. We have a mask for the physical world and a face for the eternal world.
And the trouble starts when the mask gets too tight. When we let the admin assistant, the ego, run the whole company.
The ego is great at filing papers, but it shouldn't be setting the vision statement.
Exactly. The ego is obsessed with safety and time and potential threats. The inner self is adventurous and timeless. You need to let the inner self drive the bus sometimes.
Okay, so we've covered the philosophy, we've covered the physics of reality, we've covered anti-aging. But then the session takes a sharp left turn.
It does. It shifts gears completely.
We go from discussing the nature of the universe to a remote viewing test, the Dr. In-Stream test.
And this is where that chilling vibe really sets in for me, because philosophy is great. I mean, anyone can spin a philosophy. But specific, verifiable details about a stranger's life, that's much harder to fake.
So let's set this up. Seth asks for the tape recorder to be turned off, just as Jane's husband turns it off, but he keeps writing notes by hand. And Seth starts describing a scene.
He says, I pick up a strong connection with Dr. In-Stream and 2 other men this evening. Now, Dr. In-Stream was a real person, an academic they knew. But they didn't know what he was doing at that exact moment.
And Seth starts describing the scene. He sees 2 other men. One has dark hair, one has light hair. And the dark-haired one wears glasses.
And notice the self-correction here. In the notes, Seth says, One has, I will change this, forgive me. The dark-haired man wears glasses.
I love that. It
Yeah.
shows he's not just reading a script.
Oh,
He's interpreting visual data in real time. He's looking at a fuzzy picture and refining the focus. Wait, no, he has glasses.
It makes it feel much more authentic to the process of remote viewing. It's active perception, not just some data download.
He places them in an office. He says they're discussing a university matter, but, and I love this little detail, it's unofficial. It's off the book.
Right, it's office politics. It's the stuff that isn't going to be in the meeting minutes.
And he mentions a woman associated with yellow or gold.
Mm-hmm.
He says she's sort of in the background of the matter.
And that could be anything. A blonde woman, a woman in a yellow dress, or even an aura color. Sith often saw personalities as colors.
But then comes the prediction.
This is the part that feels like a teaser for a true crime podcast or something. Seth starts focusing on the light-haired man in the room.
He says, an indication here of the possibility of an automobile accident for one of the men within a 6-month period.
And he doesn't just say a car crash. That would be vague. You know, cold readers do that all the time. I sense danger. I see a dark cloud. No, Seth gets incredibly specific.
He says it will happen on a corner by a large brick building, red building.
A large red brick building. Okay, so that's a landmark.
And he says it will be a direct result of the man's reaction to a letter.
That is the detail that gets me. Reaction to a letter.
It's so specific. It implies a whole narrative. It's almost cinematic.
Well, think about the sequence. The man gets a letter. Maybe it's a rejection. Maybe it's bad news. A shocking secret. He reads it. He has an intense emotional reaction. He is upset or distracted. He gets in his car. He's driving, but his mind is on the letter. He approaches the red building. He misses the stop sign. Crash.
It connects the internal world, the emotion, the thought, the electromagnetic reality, to the physical world, the accident. It's exactly what we were just talking about with the vengeful force, but played out in a single dramatic moment.
It is. It's a live demonstration of how consciousness precipitates events. The distraction, which is internal, causes the accident, which is external. The primary, the thought, creates the secondary. The crash, the mental state manifests the physical fate.
Seth does clarify that it won't be fatal.
It is not a fatal accident, in any case, which is good. But still, I mean, imagine being the guy taking these notes. You're hearing a prediction about a crash that hasn't happened yet, triggered by a letter that maybe hasn't even been written yet.
It's spooky. It implies that the future is, well, maybe not set, but that the probabilities are gathering like storm clouds.
Seth always talks about probabilities. He says an indication here of the possibility. He almost never says it's 100% fixed.
So if the light-haired man knew about this, could he have stopped it?
Potentially.
Yeah.
I mean, if he gets a letter that really upsets him and he remembers the warning, maybe he decides not to drive that day. The act of observing the future changes the future.
That is the ultimate mind over matter.
And then, just to show he's not all doom and gloom, Seth calls Dr. Instream out for being late on his paperwork.
I laughed out loud at that part.
Oh.
Even in a psychic trance, Seth is a taskmaster.
He says there are some papers due. He is late with them. I seem also to think of a lease.
And he notes that Dr. Instream had a drink of liquor he isn't accustomed to.
That he would not ordinarily choose. Seth is literally judging his drink choice.
You're late on your filing and you're drinking peach schnapps. Get it together, Instream.
It's these mundane details, the paperwork, the weird drink, the office gossip, that make the session feel so real. It's not just, you will meet a tall, dark stranger. It's, you are late on your filing and you drink something gross.
It really grounds the high strangeness. It reminds you that this primary reality we are talking about is woven right through our boring, everyday lives.
Exactly. The magic is in the mundane. The primary isn't somewhere else. It's right here, hidden behind the paperwork.
So we have covered a lot of ground today. We've dismantled gravity, we've found the fountain of youth in our sleep, we've analyzed the ego as a spacesuit, and we've remote viewed a car crash.
Just another typical day in the Seth Material.
Right. So what does this all mean for us, for you, listening to this, driving to work right now, or folding laundry, or walking the dog?
I think the biggest takeaway is this idea of the vengeful force versus the primary self.
That was so.
We spend so much of our lives stressed about secondary things. We stress about time. We stress about aging. We stress about gravity, metaphorically, the weight of the world. And Seth is telling us that isn't the real you.
The real you is the one that flies in the dream.
Yes. And if you can remember that, if you can identify with the flyer, not the walker, you stop attacking yourself. You stop the vengeful force. You might even age a little slower.
I love that. It's about shifting your identity. You aren't the person stuck in traffic. You're the consciousness observing the traffic.
And that shift in perspective changes your biology. It changes your electromagnetic reality. It changes the signal you are broadcasting to yourself.
It's empowering. It puts the keys back in your hand. You aren't a victim of the universe. You're a co-creator.
A co-creator who needs to get a good night's sleep.
Absolutely.
Right.
Prioritize that sleep. It's not just rest. It's a vacation from the laws of physics. It's where you go to recharge your primary battery.
Well put.
Now, before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a provocative thought. We talked about the dream test. How if you can escape something in a dream, it's basically an illusion. So next time you wake up from a vivid dream, maybe you were flying, maybe you were visiting a loved one who has passed, maybe you were just somewhere else entirely, and you wake up in your bed and the alarm clock is blaring and gravity is pulling you down. Ask yourself this.
Did you just wake up to reality, or did you just wake up into the illusion?
Was the dream the escape? Or is gravity the trap you just fell back into?
That is a thought to chew on. Is waking up actually falling asleep to your true self?
And hey, don't just take our word for any of this. This material is dense, it's rich, and we are only scratching the surface of just one session. Session 208, there are hundreds.
We highly, highly encourage you to go to the source. Read the Seth Material. These books are a rabbit hole worth going down.
You can find them at the New Awareness Network website and bookstore. That's sethcenter.com/the early DAS sessions. Go check it out. Support the publishers who kept this stuff alive. It's amazing material.
It really is. It changes how you see the world.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the unknown. It's been a trip.
Always is.
Sleep tight tonight. And remember, you're not aging while you do it.
See you next time.